Nope, that's not who I wanted to say. All right, here we go. We are live and in living color. Welcome to the. It's very strange the way that this is set up in Madden as to whether or not this is 2026, 2025 season. It's strange because it obviously counted the first draft that we didn't do, like the rookies from this year, like your Sauce Gardners, Brock Purdy's. That was listed as 2023 on Daddy Leagues on the draft. So this would, in theory, be the 2026 draft. It is our third draft, and the first pick in that draft, as you can see, is the Minnesota Vikings. I've got a lot of tabs up here, and you'll see why in a second. It's because I have every single team and their depth chart listed here. So the Vikings right now have a lot of places they can go, but it's pretty obvious when you look at their roster and where they're picking. Right now they have Mick Webster, 24 years old, 66 overall. It's pretty obvious that they are going to go quarterback. The question is which one. Madden seems to, on their mock draft, have them going Joey Brink. I don't see why not. He's got great throw power. He is 21. As we know, I love a 21-year-old. The 6'3" signal caller out of Oklahoma will be in Minnesota this year. And I know that throws a wrench in what the Giants want to do because I know with the second pick, the Giants were really hoping that Joey Brink would fall to them. However, they do get a nice consolation prize. I have them going Terrence Short. So we can get rid of the Vikings. Go down here on the Giants. As you can see, they too just got rid of Mac Jones. The best quarterback on their roster right now is Owen McLaughlin. He's 24, only a 68, so it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here at the top of this draft. Don't need to waste a lot of time with it. I think the Giants are going to go Terrence Short. Josh Feliz has Madden rated a little bit above him, but I think that it's going to be Terrence Short, 6'2", 233 pounds. He's also 21 years old, out of Texas. Christian, he's a Horned Frog. We had a former, Heisman hopeful there this past season in real life, and we have Terrence Short, the digital version, making it to the number 2 overall pick in the draft out of TCU. He, too, is a quarterback that doesn't do anything exceptionally well. He doesn't have, like, elite throw power. He's not, like, super fast, but he's under that 4.9 threshold. He has at least good throw power. So he's a guy who does everything really, really well, and you're not going to go wrong with a guy like Terrence Short. So we have 1-2 quarterback. I keep the quarterback train going here with the Bucks. They are a computerized team. Tom Brady did actually retire, so we don't have to waste much time there. I think they're going to go quarterback as well, and they will go with the top one listed in Josh Feliz. He's 22, out of Texas. When I say 6'2", I mean 6 foot as well. He's just 6 foot. He's a 6-footer, 225, out of Texas. He does not have great throw power either. He is under 5-second 40, so he's not quite as good athletically as Terrence Short, and he's a year older, which is why I think the Giants are making the right choice going with Terrence Short. And we'll kind of get into this when we talk about the Falcons here in a second. I'll talk about what the difference between some of these top 4 quarterbacks I really, really think is. But first, we can't go anywhere without talking about the Buffalo Bills. Bills, look, down the stretch, they were quite literally a train wreck. They had a lot of issues. There were a lot of blowout losses that they took. But the good news is they have a pretty good roster. You can see they got some aging guys on the O-line, but right behind them, they've got people ready to step in. So Deion Dawkins is aging, but they got Doug Flowers right behind him. At guard, Kurt Whitman. Is he an all-pro? No, but he's 23 and already above a 70. Mitch Morse is a center. At some point, they're going to have to address the interior of the offensive line. They don't have to address quarterback. Where I do think they're going to have to address again in this draft is your wide receivers, your interior line, but I have them going here at the edge. They've lost Von Miller. They got Greg Rousseau here. But outside of that, they don't have much to really get after the quarterback, and they will be very happy if this draft plays out like this because they will get the top overall guy right now, Mitch Lehman, the power rusher out of Oklahoma, 6'3", 278. Guy ran, let me see what his 40 was. We'll pull him up real quick. Why does my Madden keep making me go down to Josh Feliz? Okay. There we go. Mitch Lehman. Pull him up here. He is 21 as well. Ran a 4.640 for a big man. That's really, really good. He's almost 280 pounds running a 4.640. He's going to be a menace off of the edge. Even if, let's say, he's not great off the edge, you don't like some of the stats, at worst, you could even push a guy like him down onto the interior, and he can play an interior 3-4. But I think he is made for the edge. 6'3", 278, big boy, move fast, put him on the outside, let him cause terror to the AFC East. We saw they have Tua, likes to throw it deep to Tyreek Hill. Justin Battle likes to get the ball out to his wide receivers. If you want to win the AFC East, you're going to have to get after those quarterbacks. The young man in New England, I think it's Hankins, something like that, whatever that young quarterback is, there's a lot of good quarterbacks in the AFC East, so I think the Bills are going to have to go after the edge, and Mitch Lehman is the guy I think they should go after. Falcons have been trying to trade this next pick, the number 5 pick, for about 2 weeks now. No one seems to be biting. I think he's in a good spot. I think he's going to have to, though, take the quarterback, Juan Sweat. His quarterback situation isn't really terrible. Ritter is a 72. He's 26. He's not the worst in the world. He's got over 90 throw power. His short accuracy is 80. Medium accuracy, deep accuracy, right about 80. So I think he could probably do some other things. He just picked up Antonio Gibson, it looks like, in free agency. He's got Calvin Ridley. Drake London not really developing how you would like, but again, he's an 80. Maybe later on you go and you get somebody on the interior, that defensive line, which is what they really need. But right now, at 5 overall, I don't think you're going to take an interior defensive lineman. If you're a user, you'll see I have the computer going interior defensive line here in a second. But as a user, I just don't think you can do that. I think they're going to go after Juan Sweat, 22 years old, 6'4" out of Cincinnati. He's got elite throw power, which is what I am a sucker for. You know, if you have elite throw power, he was under 5 second in the 40 as well. So when it comes out, the ratings, yes, Josh Feliz is going to be rated higher than him. But if I can get a guy with a better throw power, he's just as old, he's bigger, he's stronger. Give me Juan Sweat any day of the week. I think if you look at those two quarterbacks that are going to, in my opinion, go to the NFC South in Josh Feliz and Juan Sweat, I think Juan Sweat will have the better career of the two going forward, and I don't think Falcons will be disappointed in this. If he can trade back and get some edge or some interior defensive line help, more power to him. If he's going to go interior defensive line, I think he should go the route I think that the computer Detroit Lions are going to go. I think the Lions are going to go with the defensive tackle he's out of Florida. He's a Gator, Tevin Ward. You got to scroll down a little bit if you're looking. He's right outside of the top 10. He is 23, so another reason I probably wouldn't draft him in the top 5 if I was the Falcons. But this kid is an absolute monster. Ran under 5 seconds, 40 bench reps in the combine, which is the only one I really care about. I know the pro day matters a little bit, but for the most part, I just go by the combine. So 40 bench reps, under 5 seconds. He's going to be a beast on the interior, whether you keep him at end in a 3-4, which I think the Lions should, pop Aiden Hutchinson out to outside linebacker, and let Tevin Ward eat on the inside, or put him at D tackle in a 4-3. They're the computer. Who cares? Why am I even talking about them anymore? But I do have Tevin Ward going to the Lions at 6 overall. At 7, we have pretty much the whole entire defense is what the Saints need, right? The Saints need a lot. P. Royalty took over recently, but that team was old, aging, and kind of fell apart. They are going to need some offensive line help at some point. Is there anything there at 10? Yeah, they could probably go get a tackle. They just put Ryan Ramczyk up on the board, so maybe they are looking tackle. They got Trevor Penning, good enough over there on the left side. At center, Eric McCoy. At guard, Cesar Ruiz. Again, I think they can get by, find some people in later rounds. Perry Watts is a fine quarterback for me. So if this draft plays out differently and there's a quarterback available, keep an eye on the Saints to go get a quarterback, right? Where they really lack is defense. They barely have any defensive linemen. They have Draymond Jones, who's an interior defensive lineman. Parker, which might be the best name in our Madden out of the generated classes. They got Caleb Von Chasen, playing like an outside linebacker in a 4-3 setup, it looks like. They got Cody Barton. Then they got Pete Werner. Again, they got this weird hybrid defense going on. So I really think that they're going to have to go on the defensive side of the ball. Marshawn Lattimore, getting a little old, but still a 93. Paulson Adebo, again, serviceable. I really think they could go a lot of different places with this, but where I think they should go is go ahead and go get an edge rusher. I've got them taking Jonathan Blackwell, 22 years old, out of Oklahoma State. Again, another big physical dude, 6'5", 255. So he's not as big as Mitch Lehman, but where he is a little bit different than Lehman is that he is just a touch more athletic, right? He didn't participate in the combine, didn't participate in the pro day. So how do we know that? Well, we don't, but we can just kind of tell by the fact that he's listed as a finesse rusher, or speed rusher. I'm sorry, not finesse rusher. It means his finesse moves are higher than his power moves. He's listed as a speed rusher. You typically, those guys at that 6'5", 230 range are going to run in that 4'5", 4'6" range when they're rated this high. I think he's a knock out of the park. Do you hope he's a dev? Certainly. You knock it out of the park with him. Go get someone who can go after the quarterback. You're going to have 2 new ones drafted according to this mock. Go get after those rookie quarterbacks in the AFC South. You have 3 teams picking in the top 10 in the AFC South, so they're all chasing the Panthers, who we'll talk about a little later. But you can't go wrong here if you go after that edge rusher, Jonathan Blackwell, out of Oklahoma State. Which brings us back to the AFC East here. We got the New England Patriots. I kind of spoke with him a little bit. He made it pretty obvious that he wants to go after the offensive line. And if you look why, you got Cole Strange, who's now 27, even though it seems like he was just drafted. He's only a 73. Andre Dillard, 29, only a 75. In the interior, you got David Andrews, aging, but still pretty good. At right guard, they got Micah Owenawuru, who's an 80 overall, and then at right tackle, you got Isaiah Wynn, who again is aging and still only a 79. Where I think they're going to end up going is Randall Williamson, the left tackle out of UCLA. He's not the highest rated. Kenny Griffin is the highest rated left tackle right now, but he's also 23. He may go after Kenny Griffin. Guy's got some really good-looking stats, but I think he's going to go after Randall Williamson, the left tackle out of UCLA. Go get the former Bruin, who's only 21, did 37 bench reps, has elite change of direction, great strength, solid speed. So if you look at a lot of his physical stats, they're pretty darn good. Now, he's a power guy, so is he going to have to probably develop some of those finesse pass moves off the edge? Certainly, but we've seen this happen before with guys like, your Trent Williams, your Maulers that can very easily transition to turning into elite edge protectors. And I think Randall Williamson has the ability to do that and really anchor that line, which is what, just looking at it, what the Patriots need for Ben Hankins, who 82 overall, only 23 years old. You got to think that the future is bright there in New England if we can go ahead and get Mr. Hankins some help in front of him. Another place that I think the Patriots are going to look later in the draft is probably wide receiver. They have some pretty well-rated guys. Like they got Elijah Moore, who's mid-80s. They got Deontay Hardy, who's low 80s. They got Devin Duvernay, who's low 80s, high 70s, I think. So they can definitely upgrade there, but it's not a need right now. Wide receivers a little weird this draft. The high-end guys, there weren't a lot. Okay, let me stop here too. If you've never had me do one of these before, I do not do reaches in this mock. I basically do, guy had to have at least a first or second round grade, right? So if anything better than rounds 1 or 2. Once I hit round 2, 3, I believe there was 50 guys that qualified. So if you're looking at this like, I'll never draft that guy, I get it. I understand that, but I have to put some restraints on it. We can't give away all the gems in this YouTube video, but understand that of the top 50 guys, this is kind of how I think it could or should play out. Brings us to Vegas, who I still want to call Oakland from time to time. I don't think it's really, a question that they need a lot, right, in Oakland. If you're picking in the top 10, you probably need a lot. I don't think a tight end is really going to be available at this point in time. I don't think a center's, well, they'll be available, but they won't be worth taking. Where I think they could really go is either inside linebacker or cornerback. Cornerback's a much more premium position that you want to be drafting in the top 10. Right now, the Raiders have Rock Ya-Sin and Nate Hobbs as their cornerbacks. They're both above an 80, but neither is really that great. They took Dennis Peak, it looks like, last year. He's a 70 overall. This year, I have them taking P.J. Clifford, 6'1", out of Connecticut. He's the second highest rated cornerback on this list, a little bit below Jarvis Newhouse. Jarvis is only 5'9", and if we know anything about the Raiders, we know they like tall, fast guys. PJ Clifford is above 6 foot, I believe 6'1", ran like a 4.3 40 at the combine, 4.3 640 to be exact. So he's got that elite speed. Acceleration is fine. I believe he's listed as a man-to-man corner, which fits in with what the Raiders want to do. The silver and black want to beat you up. They want to be stronger than you. They want to be faster than you. PJ Clifford to Oakland. Book it. Finishing up the top 10 here, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who will try to bring this team back to glory. I have their needs as quarterback, tackle, interior defensive line, and cornerback, right? So they will be in a good spot to get one of those, whether it's a cornerback, interior defensive lineman, or an offensive tackle. They will not be able to get a quarterback at this stage. If they reach, certainly, but I think Kenny Pickett is serviceable enough. 27 years old, only a 71. At some point, they're going to have to upgrade. Looks like they got Kellen Mond and Bailey Zappi on the roster as well. So at some point, they're going to have to upgrade. I just don't think they can do it this draft without making a serious move up to the top 5, because it looks like 4 of those top 5 picks are going to be quarterbacks. Here, they're taking the cornerback, Jarvis Newhouse, 5'9", out of Michigan. He's 23 years old, so I don't love that. Don't love his size, but in terms of what you're getting as a top 10 pick, this kid ran a sub 4.4 40 at his pro day. He was right above, so he's about a 4.4, 4.42 at the combine, 4.39 at his pro day, so he's average him out right about a 4.4. He's got elite strength, according to Madden, did above 20 bench reps for a corner. So he's going to be your press guy as a slot corner at a minimum. I think he's good enough to play outside, but at a minimum, you just drafted your slot corner for the next 10 years. Don't have to worry about drafting another one ever again. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is for a team like the Steelers that's going to be going up against these teams in the AFC, your Jets, your Colts, your Chiefs, that have all these weapons. Even the Broncos were putting up points. The Chargers were putting up points. Everybody's putting up points. It's going to be important to get as many corners as possible in this league. The Packers, look, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson have not developed the way anyone thought they would, right? You got Jacoby Myers right now as your top threat. Romeo Doubs at a 76. Christian Watson at a 75. You would have liked those guys to be your low 80s, mid 80s by now. Unfortunately, they're not. Where I think the Packers are going to have to focus is on the defense. They lost Rashawn Gary. Preston Smith is getting old and long in the tooth. They don't really have an interior middle linebacker. Quay Walker is really good in Madden. He plays fine, but he's still below an 80. Devondre Campbell is getting old. They do have Jair Alexander, Matthew Hooks, so they're good in the secondary. Randall Albury, again, only 25, a 77. Adrian Amos getting older, so they can get by. Where I think they're going to have to look is either at that interior linebacker or at the edge. I have them going edge. Xavier Woodbury, the right outside linebacker from San Diego State. Look, another one of these 6'5", 250 guys. He's not quite as big as Mr. Lehman, who I have going to the Bills at the top of the draft. But Woodbury is no slouch. He is 22 years old, 6'5", 257. At the combine, he ran a 4.79, so he is not as fast as you would like, but you're getting him at 11, not number 5 overall. Plenty strong, almost 30 bench reps. He is a power rusher, but I'd be curious to see if the Packers want to take him that route of Rashawn Gary and let him be that power rusher, or do they want to take him a different route and maybe train him up to be more of that speed rusher, that finesse move? Because I think he has the ability to do both, but at 4.79, you're probably looking along the lines of a power rusher for sure. But they get their guy, they get an edge guy. They can also go after that new Joey Brink, the number 1 overall pick. Be nice to see Xavier Woodbury versus Joey Brink whenever that happens. We got Minnesota versus the Packers. Classic NFC Norris battle that'll have a lot more in store for us this year. The Texans. I was actually, I'm the Texans in another league, and I was pleasantly surprised to see what the Texans have done to this offensive line. They have built it up. I thought for sure when I pulled this up, I was like, oh, they're going to be going offensive line. But they got Brad Cooper, 75 overall, 22 years old. Plenty good at left tackle. 24-year-old Kenyon Green at 78 years old. He was already drafted by the Texans in real life. Jeremy Cook, 22 years old, 77. They're going to need another guard to go with Kenyon Green is his backup, and then it looks like they got Glenn Wooden, who is another left guard, but he plays right guard. He's 22, 77 as well. He's going to play your right guard. So they need another guard at some point for a backup, but they have this O-line really figured out between Don Perkins, Kenyon Green, Glenn Wooden, Brad Cooper, and then they even got Titus Howard in there knocking around as like a backup. I think they're going to look for a quarterback, wide receiver, or go on the defensive side of the ball. The quarterback they have right now is Baker Mayfield. If this draft plays out this way, they're not getting a quarterback, right? They can reach for one, certainly, but they're not going to get a quarterback. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. At wide receiver, I don't think there's one you can stretch for right now. The best wide receiver in this class, according to Madden, I believe, is Tavares Roper. Let me scroll down to him and tell you where he is listed on mine. Yeah, Tavares Roper, he's rated the 30th best prospect on this list. Obviously, it's all different. It's all changed. But 30th best prospect, Tavares Roper out of Arizona State. I think it's a little early to go there, so I have them going on the defensive side of the ball. On the edge, Andy Taylor, 23 years old. Again, you hate to see it. These grandpas getting drafted, but this kid is a speed rusher. He's going to give you what you need. He did not participate in the combine, ran a 4.6 flat at his pro day. So this guy can get after it, right? He's not going to mess around. He's got elite speed, 30 bench reps. He's got a speed strength combo. He is plenty fine. It's rare to see that speed strength combo with these speed rushers or these guys that are going to be in that finesse move category. And why would that be great for them? Because they've only got Marcus Davenport. He's a power rusher guy. They can pair him up with Andy Taylor out of Michigan State, the Spartan. They can pair them up. They can let one go after the quarterback with finesse moves, one go after the quarterback with power moves. They're going to have to build up a little bit around this defense, but if you can have Davenport and Taylor going after the quarterback, let Rod Hyde occupy the middle, 23 years old, already a 76. I think this Texans team will be well on its way if they go ahead and get another pass rusher to put opposite Marcus Davenport. So I'm going Andy Taylor out of Michigan State. Brings us to another team in the AFC South, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Look, they have a rough offensive line to start. I think they have like Cam Robinson, Jawan Taylor, who are okay, but they're not really good. And look, they still have Cam Robinson. They don't have any centers on their roster. They have one guard, one right guard, that is. Brandon Scherf's really good. They just signed Landon Dickerson, so they know they need to work on this offensive line. The interior offensive line in this draft, I think there was only one guy who even qualified in my quote-unquote criteria of the top 50 players, and he had the most amazing porn name. We'll talk about him in a little bit, but there's only one guy that even qualified. I have them going Kenny Griffin. The slide stops here. Kenny Griffin was slated to be a top 5 overall pick. According to this, he's 23. So I think that in our draft, that's going to bring him down a little bit. Here's what he does exceptionally well. He's a mauler. 40 bench reps. This guy's strength is off the charts. 40 bench reps at his pro day, 38 at the combine. So it was no fluke. This kid just puts up numbers. He is a power pass blocker. I tend to not use power pass blockers as much, but I know a lot of you guys have had great success drafting these power pass blockers that just road grade. They're great run blockers, but then they can also set the edge. So I think Kenny Griffin, I think the slide stops here for him. He's listed as a top 5 guy, actually listed as number 4 overall on this draft. And you got Kenny Griffin, the road grader from Bama. We can call him the Bama Behemoth, I think is what I called him in the little write-up there on the side, which I'll put this write-up in the around the league as well. If guys don't have time to watch this whole video, because it's probably going to turn into about an hour, because I'm a damn blabbermouth and I love hearing myself talk, so I just don't stop talking. Speaking of me, I am up next with the 14th pick. Made a trade with the Kansas City Chiefs. I traded my second round pick and one of my young D tackles to move up, and as you can see, I have interior defensive line as a need now because of that. I did move Jeffrey Simmons on over. 2 defensive tackles, so I officially have him there at least, but I don't have much behind him. I got Poona Ford, who's aging, and then this kid, Derek Wilkerson, who's really good as a finesse move guy, but not much else. I should focus there, but I'm not going to. There is a kid, Levi Lane, left tackle at a USC, and it's more of a looking forward, giving myself flexibility. Charles Cross, I know, is going to cost me a lot of money. His contract is coming up, so at 22 years old, 6'6", 313 pounds out of USC. I like a Trojan now and then. He's a little slower than I would like for an agile guy. He ran over a 5-second 40. Not the end of the world, but anytime your guy's over 5 seconds and you want them more agile, it's a little bit of a red flag. But here's the good thing. He was over 30 bench reps. A lot of times these agile left tackles, they'll come in at like 26 bench reps. It's not ideal when they're trying to hold up the edge there. So his strength was rated as good. Change of direction, elite. Acceleration, elite. Agility, elite. Everything was great or good on this guy to elite. So the worst rating he had was his speed rating, which was good. His strength was good. Everything else was elite or great. He's just really an athletic specimen, and I want him on my team. So if Levi Lane is there at 14, chalk him up to come to the Pacific Northwest in Seattle. Commanders, they made a trade down from the number 2 pick, actually. I'm going to leave mine up because I have another pick later in the draft. Commanders traded down from number 2. They already have their quarterback, David Hankins. He was an X factor. He's gone down to star, but he's 22 years old, already almost an 80. So this kid has, we don't have to worry about that position if we're the Commanders. I have them looking at offensive line, potentially running back, potentially tight end. There's no real tight ends or halfbacks you want to take this early, maybe at the tail end of the round 1, but not right now. So I think that the Commanders are going to stay on the offensive side of the ball. Look at the left tackle. They got Garrett Bowles. He's 81, but he's also 33 years old. So they go out and get one of the best pass protectors in the draft in Deontay Price out of Michigan State. He is a beast. This kid's really one of the more only true pass protector that's rated in top, I think the top like 10 tackles. I think most of the other ones are agile or power, both at left tackle and right tackle. So you got, power, agile. Okay, I lied. There is one other right tackle, but he's like a round 3, round 4 prospect, so he wouldn't qualify for this. But Deontay Price, again, pure pass protector. 6'7", 320, Michigan State, another Spartan. Michigan State has a lot of kids this draft, right? So it's, he ran over a 5-second 40 as well. Under 30 bench reps, so that's a little bit of a concern. But he's got elite agility, great change of direction. He's athletic. His strength is a little concerning, but when you're looking to protect your high-end, your highly drafted quarterback from last year, you got to go after the best pass protector in the draft, and that is Deontay Price from the state of Michigan. What was it? Who the hell was their? Izzo's their basketball coach. I forget their football coach. I'm blanking on that right now. They just replaced the legendary one with Mel Tucker's, I believe now their football coach, really good football coach. But either way, that's who they're going after. Deontay Price, the pass protector from Michigan State, goes to the nation's capital in Washington, D.C. After him, we have the Cleveland Browns. And if you guys haven't been here long enough, you'll learn soon enough that Dukes and his brother are going to go after the hog mollies, whether it's the O tackle that I think he should probably go after. I'm going to leave Commanders up as well because they do have another pick. They're going to go after the guys up front. Right now, I think the Browns are in a good spot with their offensive line. They got old guys. They got Tunsil. They got Batonio. Zach Stewart, the young center, is really, really good. Wyatt Teller, again, older, but really, really good. Josh Sherman, young, could be an offensive tackle here for the Browns. So look there, right tackle, or where I think they're going to go is defensive tackle Max Ridgeway. Where was Mr. Ridgeway? He was uglier than sin. Yeah, he's got like that little squatty kind of body, almost looks like a, I don't know, a little chode, I guess you could say. But that little chode is a beast. He's only 21, 6'2", 304 out of Florida. Florida's got a couple monsters on the D-line, apparently. Tevin Ward goes in the top 10. Max Ridgeway goes in the top 20. So Florida looking like the new Georgia, according to Madden, right? This kid, under 5-second 40, which is great for a defensive tackle. Over 40 bench reps, which is great for anyone. He's just going to be a monster down there in the trenches. It has him listed as a run stopper. I'm curious to see. I guess we'll see when he comes out where his power moves are, because at 41 bench reps, you would have to think he's going to have some effective power moves. But if you're the Browns, you got to be happy with that. You got Deshaun Watson in place. You got Nick Chubb. You got Kareem Hunt. Your offense, you're going to need a wide receiver because you got Amari Cooper, who's aging but still really good. Below him, Kyle Gordon had a great rookie season. Not so hot after that, but he's had some really good years. On the defensive line, you got Myles Garrett. You got this kid, Alex Collins, 22 years old, 75 years old. But you need someone to take up the blocks on the interior. Perrion Winfrey has not been that guy. And I think with Max Ridgway, you get a plug-and-play day one starter in the top 15, and that's what everyone is looking for. Well, he's not top 15. He's top 16. Top half of the draft, I guess we should say. Which brings us to the Commanders, who, as I said, traded down from number 2. I think they ended up with the Niners pick and the Giants pick. Here, I have them taking Nicholas Rhodes. They started on one side of the ball. We'll send them to the other side of the ball, and you'll see why here in a second when I get down to their corners. They've got Benjamin St. Juste as their top quarter, 74. He's an athletic freak, 6'3". He's fast, he's strong, but he's not very good at covering. His man coverage only 72. Zone coverage, 78. So none of his coverages are above an 80. Clint Glenn, 22 years old, already a 71, can certainly develop, but I think the Commanders are going to go after Nick Rhodes, 21 years old, out of Temple. So he's got that, that Philly connection. Will there be a little bit of a rivalry there? I don't know. Fly, Eagles, fly. Nick Rhodes is, again, kind of like Benjamin St. Juste. He's not quite as big, but he's 6'2", 196 out of Temple. He ran a 4.35 and a 4.3 240, so the kid can fly. He's a man-to-man guy as well. I don't know exactly what they run there in Washington. They don't have the pass rushers anymore, so at some point they're going to have to go get an edge rusher. But right now, they're going Nicholas Rhodes. Let him lock down some coverage. They're in the NFC East. You got A.J. Brown. You got C.D. Lamb. You've got, I think the Giants drafted a wide receiver as well that was causing some problems for people. But Nick Rhodes, Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb. Again, need I say more? I think the Cowboys are probably going to be looking to upgrade at wide receiver as well. Go get a cornerback. Nick Rhodes goes to the nation's capital as well. Joins Deontay Price. The Bears, they're always a tough one. They want, I think, to upgrade their offensive line. I just don't know that they can do it here, honestly. It's just not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so to speak. Where they could, potentially, if they find a left tackle or right tackle they like. But Braxton Jones is actually kind of serviceable. He's 26, 77 years old. He's got like an above 80 pass block finesse. Tristan Wirfs on the right tackle. You don't need to really say much about that. At guard, at center, and at right guard, they are pretty terrible. So he's going to upgrade the interior of his offensive line. I just don't think he's going to do it here. He could. I just don't see the value there. Where I think there is value is along the defensive line. And it's hard to peg which one Seb's going to pick because everyone kind of views things differently. He's got, this is not him, this is me. This is him. He's got Javon Hargrave on the interior that he likes to use him. He's got Lamar Bryan, who's younger, so it's like, why would he do that? He's got Dom Burgess. Again, it's just that Seb likes to have as many options as possible along the defensive line, as many fits as possible along the defensive line. He could go edge here. He could go off-ball linebacker. I would go off-ball linebacker if I was him, but he seems to not really value that. He traded Roquan Smith. So I think this is going to be one of the more kind of wild card picks because I think he needs interior offensive linemen, none at a value position here at 18 overall. If he gets lucky, drafts one with a dev trait, amazing. But you're kind of rolling the dice there. Where I think he will go is on the interior of that defensive line because Javon Hargrave is getting older. He's got some guys behind him, but none that are really that wow factor. Where I think he could look are a couple different guys. We got some different ones. We got Antoine Morgan. He's a right end, but he's more of an interior guy. He's not exactly heavy enough to play that 4-3 defensive tackle, so I don't know that Seb would go there, right? Max Ridgway is already off the board in this one, so we can't go there. Where I think he's going to go is Johnny Harden out of Oregon, the Duck, 6'4", 310. He is 23 years old, so a little bit older than you would like, but again, 37 bench reps at the combine, 33 bench reps at his pro day. He's right at a 5-second 40, so plenty fast enough. His acceleration is good enough. He is the guy you want. He's a power rusher. He can get off the quarterback. He's not just going to be there taking up blockers. He's very similar, maybe not as athletic as Javon Hargrave, but he's very similar, and I think he fills a hole once Hargrave leaves. This one, though, is a wild card. Could go anywhere. If he does not go off-ball linebacker, I think the Eagles are going to be doing jumping jacks because then they will have the pick of the litter at off-ball linebacker. I call them ILBs because that's what they should be called. They for years and years have been the interior linebackers. And then your outside linebackers, where you're kind of more your edge threat guys. But the league has changed and done a lot more hybrid fronts and stacked fronts and over fronts and under fronts, and everything gets crazy. So now they just call them off-ball linebackers. But I'm old. We're going to call them ILBs. And I think the best one, or the one that I think Eagles will go with, is Damian Bolden. Harvey Lane's rated a little better than him, but Harvey Lane is also 23 years old and listed as a run stopper. I think you're going to go with the kid who's the field general at 21 years old. Oh, by the way, he ran 4.49 and 4.43 in his 40 at the combine and his pro day respectively. You're getting a field general. You're getting a kid that can run from sideline to sideline. He's not some small guy either. He's 6'2", 239. You pair him up with Nakobe Dean, who I think the Eagles still do have, and you got yourself some kids that could fly around after the football, right? Look, the aforementioned A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Javier Brown, a beast, Keontae Scruggs. The Eagles are loaded at wide receiver. That's why I think the Commanders are going to have to go after a cornerback. We already talked about them. We don't need to talk about them anymore. Some point, the Eagles are going to have to look at edge, right? Hassan Reddick, getting older. Josh Sweat, really good, but close to 30 as well. So they don't have to do it this year, but they may want to look into it. Interior defensive line, Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, again, fine for right now. At some point, they're going to have to add to that interior defensive line. But I think where they could do the most good is TJ Edwards, 29 years old. Kaiser White, 29 years old. Nakobe Dean, 24 and only a 77. Get yourself another off-ball linebacker that can fly after the football and then build from kind of after this, build from the inside out, as the real-life Eagles like to do. Could be an interior defensive lineman here, certainly. Could be an edge guy here, certainly, because they've got some holes they got to fill. Their defense is getting older. They got Avonte Maddox, Dwayne Thomas. Could be a corner here. They're not great at corner anymore, right? Darius Slay is either, I think he retired on him. When I was doing this, he hadn't retired yet, so they still had Darius Slay. Corner could be an option here as well. So look for corner. I would go off-ball linebacker here just based on the corners that are there. Could be, if you look down a couple picks where my pick is, Quincy Murray will be available. So if it's not Damian Bolden, look for Quincy Murray. Brings us to the Panthers. Dun, 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 dun. Let's see. I have their needs at offensive line, wide receiver, tight end, interior defensive line, and then ILB. We already talked about the differences between that and off ball. They're the same thing. All right. Interior defensive line. We'll come back to the offensive line here in a second. So interior defensive line, look, they've got Derek Brown, but behind him they don't have much. It looks like they're running a 4-3. They got Marcus Leak off the edge. They got Brian Burns off the edge. They've got Jonathan Grenard off the edge. They're fine off the edge, but they do need someone on the interior of that defense. At off-ball linebacker, they don't have much. They've got a 25-year-old in Calvin Boston who's only rated 71. Shaq Thompson, getting old, 31 years old. Alton Robinson is more of a really an edge rusher, but he's the left outside linebacker here, and he's a 76. I think that they should take the one that the Eagles don't take, and that would be Harvey Lane, middle linebacker. He's a run stopper. He's 6'4", 248. No slouch athletically either. He's 23, so you don't like that, but he's 4.55, 4.49 40s respectively. He is a run stopper, so you might have to develop that pass coverage aspect or that play recognition aspect, but he's going to be able to block shed. He's going to be able to get after the ball. He's probably got good hit power, those type of things that you see with those run stopper, those thumpers. Harvey Lane goes to Carolina, shores up their interior in the linebacking core, and I think that that's going to be their best play. Could they go offensive line here? Certainly there's going to be plenty of offensive linemen available, and we'll talk more about them here in a second. Brings us to my next pick, which is Quincy Murray. Quincy Murray is a cornerback out of Utah. Look, I've got right now, go back to me and then I can exit out of me. I've got Jamel Dean, Tariq Woolen, C.J. Henderson. Jamel Dean is on the last year of his contract. C.J. Henderson is not, but he's never really developed, and he's more of a man cover guy. I like zone cover guys, if you couldn't tell by my my coverage ratings on my corners. So C.J. Henderson, not exactly really filling the hole that I want. Quincy Murray, 5'11", 186 out of Utah. Would prefer if he were 6 foot, but it's 5'11". I mean, what's an inch, right? That's what you got to tell your wives. What's another inch, honey? It's nothing. But he is 5'11". He did run pretty well at the combine, 4.42 and 4.43. Not electric or anything that you want to see out of the cornerbacks, but low 4.4s is hard to scoff at. He too is a man-to-man corner, so I'm gonna have to, fingers crossed, his man coverage isn't that much higher than his zone coverage, and we can develop that. Otherwise, I got another C.J. Henderson on my hands. But the way the draft board fell, Quincy Murray, cornerback out of Utah, comes to the Seahawks. We are back to the Commanders here, and their last pick. I have them going off-ball linebacker as well. Noah Long, the Gamecock out of South Carolina. If you look at this defense, they need corners. We talked about that. They don't have anything else, really. They have a lot of players, but no one that's really that good. They got Jamin Davis. They just signed JOK, so that might take this off the board, right? They got JOK, Jamin Davis, but if they're running a 4-3, you probably want that third guy as well. In nickel packages, you're probably not going to need a third guy, so maybe this signing a JOK allows them to look elsewhere. They really need another edge guy. Palumbo had a great rookie year, but he's not like some elite edge rusher. He's only got an 80 finesse moves. He's already at 23 years old, so you got to think he'll get mid-80s, but he's not going to progress a ton more than that. On the other end, you got Vince Dotson, only 71 years old. So this could be an edge pick here for the Commanders after the JOK signing. I have them, though, going with Mr. Noah Long. He is a Cole Holcomb, he really is a Cole Holcomb hybrid. He's not a hybrid, a clone, I meant to say. He's a Cole Holcomb clone. He's a white kid. He runs pretty well. He's not super slow. He's not super fast either. He's 4'6", plenty fast enough for an off-ball linebacker. Elite change of direction. He's got like a 4.45, 20-yard shuttle right at 7-second, 3-cone drill. So his change of direction, his acceleration are going to be fine. He'll be plenty good there. He is, I believe, a run stopper. So another one of those guys where you got to hope that the man and zone coverage numbers aren't that bad. But with the athletic ability, the scheme fit, I think it'll be Noah Long. If it's not Noah Long, it's going to be an edge guy because JOK does change things a little bit now that they've signed Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And that was a nice little battle of the Beltway. I know Mowgli's pissed because he missed out on him and offered him way more. But sometimes guys just want to go play for who they want to play for. And he clearly wanted to go play for a team that is on the come up. He wants to help build that team from the bottom up. And more power to you, JOK. This is the Bears. He does not have another pick. Panthers does not have another pick. We should be close to the Chargers. We are. So they have interior offensive line issues as well. They have wide receiver and tight end needs. Look, this is where I think the first receiver goes in this mock. It's probably going to happen sooner in the real draft because guys, get antsy and they want to go after those glamour positions. Who wants to draft a D tackle? Who wants to draft an interior D end? Who wants to draft that power right tackle? No one. Everyone wants to draft the sexy 6'5", 220-pound wide receiver out of Arizona State. Look, the Sun Devil, when we saw him, we thought, he's 6'5", 220. He's probably going to run like a 4.7 40, and no one's going to want him. Homeboy went to the combine, ran a 4.43, went to his pro day, ran a 4.37. Okay, well, he can't change direction that well. Nope, he can. Under 7 seconds in the 3-cone drill, under 4.2 in the 20-yard shuttle, which are thresholds. I don't know if it still holds true, but in the past, under 7, under 4.2 usually meant you were going to have at least 90s in your change of directions, agility, acceleration. Those were kind of the thresholds. They change from time to time, and they're more of a window now. It's not as hard and fast, but typically if your guy's under 7, under 4.2, you're going to be above 90 in agility, acceleration. If you're 4.43, 4.37, you got to think he's going to be above a 90 speed, and at 6'5", 220, you go get that kid. He's probably not going to last till 23 in the real draft because, like I said, who the hell wants to draft a right tackle? No one. So Tavares Roper is not lasting to 23, but the way this draft fell out, I think the Chargers fans will be very, very happy because Mike Williams was up for free agency. He's gone. And right now their best wide receiver is Marquez Valdes-Scantling. Welcome to Aaron Rodgers' hell the past 3 or 4 years, right? But Again, I don't think Roper will last as long. If he does, the Chargers are literally sprinting to the podium to make this pick. They're not even going to wait 3 seconds to make this pick. It's not going to happen, but the way this draft played out, The Chargers are super happy to get Roper, the Megatron, basically 2.0. Is he as athletic as Megatron? No. But for Madden purposes, 6'5", 220, runs a sub 4.4. He's Megatron as far as I'm concerned. Brings us to the aforementioned Ravens, who lost out on the Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah sweepstakes. He's going to be looking off-ball linebacker, obviously. So if you look right below him, I have Josh Davis going to the Niners. Josh Davis is a possibility here, right? He's a right outside linebacker. Solid player, run stopper, Michigan State. A lot of Spartans in this draft. Go Sparty. Mel Tucker did it up this past year. Runs right above a 4.6, 20 bench reps, so that's fine for a linebacker. Again, but he's that run stopper, so you got to hope that those pass coverage ratings are high enough. He seems to not like the off-ball linebackers here, so I have him going with a left tackle. He's talked about Ronnie Stanley potentially retiring. Ronnie Stanley being very expensive. So why not go get the next Ronnie Stanley, right? You got a power run blocker. Oh, by the way, he goes to Kansas State. I think Mowgli likes Kansas State just a little bit if you listen to him talk before. He ran above a 5-second 40, but he's a power guy. He's almost at 40 bench reps, so all of that tracks with a guy you're probably going to want. Will he have great pass block finesse numbers? No, but as long as his pass block power is fine and the guy is going to be a road grader, you kind of know that just based on the statistics. He's 21 years old, 6'8", 330. He's going to clear some path for Lamar Jackson and the running back they drafted last year. His name, I think, is Agnew. It's not Jamal. He's already in the league. No, it is Jamal. We have two Jamal Agnews now. Jamal Agnew. This is not the kick returner, right? What the hell's Madden doing? Yes, this is not the kick returner that made the Pro Bowl. This is a new Jamal Agnew out of Oklahoma. But yes, look for my boy Bruce Feldman, Bruce Almighty, to be running the ball. Well, he's not going to run the ball. If he's running the ball, there were some serious issues in Baltimore, but clearing lanes for the Ravens to run the ball, which brings us to our commissioner. He's going to want to go D-line or draft somebody ginormous, right? That's just what Dukes always does. I think he's going to kind of stop himself, though, and he's going to have to go off-ball linebacker. He's pretty much only got Fred Warner at this point. Let Fred Warner go tutor someone. I didn't see Dukes. Yeah, he's got Fred Warner, Charlie Madigan, Curtis Robinson. No one really else to write home about. He's got to go off-ball linebacker here. There might be a better one available at this point in time, but you could do a lot worse than Josh Davis. Again, we already talked about him. 4'6", 20 bench. The kid's fine. He's 22 years old from Sparty. I think Dukes will be fine. The curious thing here to keep an eye on here is Dukes reaching for a quarterback. He's very clearly not in love with Trey Lance. Trey Lance has not progressed the way he's wanted him to. He's going to want a pretty big contract. I don't know that Dukes wants to pay him $30 million a year. So keep an eye here for a reach at quarterback. Giants are back up again. I already talked about the best porn name in the draft is Jack Dickerson. And look, the Giants need a center. He's the best center available. He is a power center, so you can get that downhill running. You drafted a quarterback, you might as well draft a guy that's going to snap him the ball for the next decade, right? Just let them go hand in hand, rub each other's butts and taints, and get used to each other right from the draft. Dickerson, he's a power guy. Right at 5 seconds for his 40, over 30 bench reps. Pretty quick, though. 7.5, 3-cone drill at his pro day, under 5-second 20-yard shuttle, which for an offensive lineman is really good. If that's your running back, not so hot. But for an offensive lineman, really good. He's got good power stats. You know he's going to pass block power. You know he's going to run block power. It's just, does that fit your scheme? I think the Giants can't pass him up at that point, and that's where they will go. The Rams, I do want to mention what a job the Rams did to be a few plays away from making the NFC Championship game. Look at this roster, right? You've got Josh Jones, 75 overall. David Edwards, nothing to write home about. Ryan Kelly, pretty darn good. Logan Bruss, young, okay. Rob Havenstein, okay. Matthew Stafford, okay. Darrell Henderson, just if you look at it, these wide receivers, Cooper Kupp and Braden Boyce, they're amazing. Quez Watkins is going to put up numbers there as well. Aaron Donald and these wide receivers took this man a few plays away from the NFC Championship game. I think it should not go understated what he did with this roster, because it's not an easy roster to build up. You got guys like Aaron Donald, Matthew Stafford, Jalen Ramsey eating up a ton of cap. He's got Rashawn McCullough on the come up. developing him. He needs a running mate. He just signed Michael Pierce, paid a lot of money for Michael Pierce, but he's got Michael Pierce and Greg Gaines, so he'll be fine on the interior now. I thought he was going to go get the Aaron Donald 2.0. Antoine Morgan, 276. He's tricky. He's basically got to go to a 3-4 team. Why, you ask? Well, because in theory, you can't switch him to defensive tackle here because I believe, although I've been wrong before, the cutoff for a 4-3 D tackle is 280, so he's not there. He's going to have to be a 3-4 D end. He's not fast enough really to play on the edge. He's a 4-8 guy, which, well, that's what Lehman is. But trust me, if you just look at these stats, Lehman's more of an athlete than this guy. His strength is elite, speed is good, jumping is great, change of direction is good, acceleration is great. He is going to be a menace on the interior. Could he play on the edge? Certainly. He's not going to be best served there. I think the Rams are going to go get Antoine Morgan. I know they just signed Michael Pierce, but he's not a long-term answer. Antoine Morgan, this kid is a monster, 6'5", 276 out of Florida State. Just let him eat in that 3-4 end roll, put him at rush DT in the nickel package, and he will dominate from day one. I know you just spent a lot of money on Michael Pierce, but could you go get an offensive lineman? Sure. If there's a quarterback you really like you could reach for here, definitely. Anywhere else on the defense, certainly you could go there. But I just think Antoine Morgan is too good of a prospect to pass up here at the way this draft fell out. Brings us to another guy who is kind of lower on the radar and the ratings, but the Dolphins need an edge rusher. Let me get out of here. Let me go to where the Dolphins are. So the Dolphins have Emmanuel Ogbah and Christian Wilkins. They're running a 3-4. That's their interior guys, right? So DJ Jones, they could go interior defensive line. They need a little bit of that. But if you look at their edge, they got Riley Booth, who's only a 69, and Jalen Phillips, who is fine, but he's only an 80. Would have been great if we started this after the Bradley Chubb trade. I'm sure that You Don't Know Me would have been very happy about that. However, we didn't. So I think they're going to go get an edge rusher, and I think the best one available when they pick will be Marcus Middleton. Speed rusher, left end. He's going to have to get moved to outside linebacker, obviously. Another Sun Devil, Tavares Roper, Sun Devil, Terrell Suggs, Sun Devil. Marcus Middleton going to have a career similar to Terrell Suggs. You heard it here first. He's that shorter guy, 6'1", 264. So he's going to have those short arms. However, doesn't test well, right? Ran 4.7, 4.6-ish in his 40s. 30 bench reps, so he was fine at the bench reps, but he's got those shorter arms, which is going to be expected. But the one thing this guy can do is get after the passer off the edge, and he's not going to wow you with athleticism, but this is basically Terrell Suggs 2.0. He's going to drop till later in the draft like Terrell Suggs did, and he's going to get sacks from day one. The Dolphins go out and get Marcus Middleton out of Arizona State, who I'm now calling Terrell Suggs 2.0. T-Sizzle 2.0. Make it happen. Brings us to the Colts, who made it to the AFC Championship game and fell short with Daniel Jones at the helm. Would they love to get a quarterback? Sure. Eli Moreland, 25, 71 years old, not terrible, actually. 95 throw power. I'd probably be starting that guy if I were him, but I'm also a psychopath and don't care that his deep accuracy is only 73. Why do I care? Doesn't matter to me. Where I think the Colts could use outside of quarterback, wide receiver, edge, and cornerback. So why do I have him go in D tackle? Because I just don't think that you can pass up this guy's D'Angelo Overeem, his athleticism. Look, you're going to need a running back to back up Jonathan Taylor. You can get that later. You're going to need a better wide receiver than Donovan Peoples-Jones. Tavares Roper's already gone. If there's one you absolutely love, sure, now's the time to reach. But there was no other ones that fit really the top 50 round one, round two guys that I could pick in this category. The defensive line, you got Julian Okwara, who's fine, power rusher. Kwity Paye, he's fine, he's serviceable. DeForest Buckner, though, this is what I looked at, right? Tristan Hill, he's fine, 26 years old, but he's more of a run stopper. DeForest Buckner is a menace for the Colts, and I think that you're basically getting DeForest Buckner's replacement in D'Angelo Overeem. He's got 6'5", 310 out of Georgia. He's got all the physical tools that you would like. May he be lacking something, whether it's, play recognition, awareness, whatever it is. But this kid ran under 5-second 40, above 30 bench reps, all the limits that you want at. And then for a D tackle, basically top 5 in almost everything except for his bench. So would you like his bench to be better? Certainly. But acceleration, great. Agility, good. Change of direction, good. Jumping, elite. I don't know why that matters, but it does. Jumping is elite. Speed, good. Strength, good. He is just really, really good at everything athletically that you're going to ask him to do. Is he going to have to develop probably as he grows in his play recognition, his awareness, those type of things? Sure. I don't know if it's going to be an injury bug, whatever it's going to be. But this kid's athletic ability is ridiculous. And I think that you could do a lot worse at 29 than going after D'Angelo Overeem, the D tackle out of Georgia. Midnight train to Georgia brings us to my AFC West nemesis, old D-Trap, the Cardinals. They've got issues at offensive line. He likes to throw to the tight end. He can use a tight end. Edge and interior defensive line are going to be where he's looking. If you look at his offensive line, look, Joseph Noteboom, terrible. Nothing to write home about. Andrew Feliz, he's fine, 25, 71 years old, but again, nothing great. Marcus Hayes, 26, only a 74. Derek Rhodes is fine. He's serviceable, 22 years old, 72. Rodney Hudson is now ancient. That man's like 800 years old and an 82, slowly going down. Will Hernandez, again, fine, but nothing to write home about. Gabe Jackson, another dinosaur. At right tackle, you got a guy who's rated below a 70, right? So you're going to probably want to go on the offensive line, which is why I have him going with Bernie Mathis. Bernie Mathis. Wazowski. I don't know why I turned into Rosalind from Monsters, Inc., but I did just then. That's what happens when you talk to yourself for almost an hour. Bernie Mathis, power run blocker, Ohio State, 22 years old, 6'8", 323. Derrick Henry, Kyler Murray run behind this guy. 37 bench reps at his pro day, 33 at the combine, right above a 5-second 40. Just going to be a mauler, absolute mauler. Is it going to be an issue on the edge against some of my finesse guys that can run right around him? Certainly, but he's also going to just push them back about 4 yards when he goes to run the ball. I think the Cardinals go here. Bernie Mathis is left tackle. They try to get back to the Super Bowl. They went there our first season, haven't been back since. He's going to go offensive line, Bernie Mathis, to try to get back. This is the Jets pick at 31. They don't have a pick, but when I spoke with Jets, I did speak with the Jets. Let me see what he said he was looking for. He's going to be looking for linebackers, running backs, and tight ends, and that makes sense that he doesn't have a first-round pick because you wouldn't really want to take a lot of those positions in the first round unless they jumped off the board or were a glaring need. So the Jets are going to look for linebacker, running back, and tight end. I talked to the Titans as well. He said he's probably going to be looking to go after some guys who get after the passer. There's not going to be a ton. There are going to be some slim pickings, but I think you can find some of those one-trick pony guys. You know those guys who have like 80 power moves, 42 finesse moves, or 80 finesse moves, 42 power moves? I think he'll be able to find those. So I think that's where the Titans are going to look. I know the Bengals did not have a first-round pick as well. I did not hear back from him, so I won't waste much more time on that. But I did want to kind of mention the guys who didn't have first-round picks that got back to me, so I do appreciate that. The Jets and the Titans, thank you for getting back to me. Look for them to go for edge rushers in Tennessee, and then running back, tight end, and linebacker in the Big Apple. The Chiefs, where do we see them going? Well, if you looked already, after I've been talking for 10 minutes, Larry Farrell, Colin Farrell, I don't know. Will Farrell, I don't know. How do you say it? Who cares? I don't know, but he's out of Auburn. Let Chris Jones teach this other behemoth from the Southeastern Conference how to work, right? You got Orlando Brown. He's pretty good in Madden. Terrible in real life, pretty good in Madden. Connor Rainey, 23 years old, 76. Damian Johnson, 24 years old, 76. 26, 83. Trey Smith, Creed Humphrey, 27, 89. They are fine along the O-line. They don't have to really worry there. Where they do need to worry, though, wide receiver, safety. Safety could be a pick here. So there's going to be some safeties. So Mecole Hardman, Curtis Samuel, Sky Moore. They got guys who can not really fly, but kind of fly, right? 97 is really, really fast. 94, not so much. 89, not so much. But they've still got Travis Kelce. They're going to probably be looking at tight end. Easton Marciano is probably not the heir apparent to Travis Kelce, but he's a really good fill-in for now. They're not going to have to look tight end for right now. Interior defensive line, safety, wide receiver. I think the best bet of those picks would be safety or interior defensive line. At safety, if it's safety, you are looking at guys like Trent Yancey, I believe his name was. Yeah, Trent Yancey out of Florida State. 4.49, 4.4, 240, so it very well could be Trent Yancey goes here. Great spot for him. You got Tony Roth as well. He is out of Bama. Another one, 4.55, 4.48. So he's not as fast. Probably more likely to be Yancey than Rolf. But I have them taking the right end, Larry Farrell, who we already talked about. I couldn't pronounce his name properly. Power rusher. He's kind of like Chris Jones light. Is he as good as Chris Jones? No, not yet. But he's a power rusher. 4.75. So really fast for an interior defensive lineman. 35 bench reps, really strong for an interior defensive lineman. Like anytime you're above 35, or if you get to 40, Christ, then you're super strong. But he's everything that you athletically want checks out. Great strength, solid speed, great jumping, good change of direction, good agility. And this is for an end, so it's rating him against some of these speed rushers too. So if he were at D tackle, a lot of this stuff will be great and elite, I promise. But 35 bench reps, 4.75. That's really all you need to look at when you're on the interior. He is a power rusher, so I don't know exactly what the Chiefs like to do, but if they like guys who can get after the quarterback from the inside, Larry Farrell is going to be a great one. Brings us to our two-time defending back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Look, we know they got Tyron Smith. They've drafted backups pretty well too, though. They got Cordell Allen ready to take his place. At left guard, you got Tyler Smith. Tyler Badass, as I like to call him. Could they go for a center and interior lineman? Certainly, but they've got Clark Callahan who can slide over there while Zach Martin's there. So they've got some backups that they can put in there. Terrence Steele, right tackle. I don't think he plays as much. I think he plays Cordell Allen over there on the right side, but his line is fine. He doesn't really need to go there. He can if he wants to. Dak, getting older, still pretty expensive. Only has Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard on the roster here. He could go running back. RK, we know he's strange, but he's also strange about his size, weight. He likes a certain size, certain weight type of guy. But Bill Bates would be someone he could look at here. Ran a 4.4 240 running back. Out of Notre Dame. That might take him off of RK's list immediately because he's from Notre Dame. Who knows? Kirk Teague is the highest rated running back, 22 out of Florida State. Did not run as well, 4.5 40, but is a little bit bigger, so maybe RK likes that. Could use a wide receiver behind CD and Gallup. He just traded for Treylon Burks, so I think that takes him out of the wide receiver runnings. And I think he would love to get Roper, but there's no chance Roper's going to be available there. He kind of runs this hybrid defense. Lawrence, Murphy are on your interior more so than not on the passing downs. On the rushing downs, Lawrence is definitely outside. Murphy's definitely outside. And Lawrence will go outside sometimes on passing downs, but he kind of shifts him more inside. I'm sure he'd love to get Micah Parsons a running mate here, right? Micah Parsons, if you look on the other side, Josh White was really good. He was like a high dev undrafted free agent. Could use an off-ball linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch is getting old. Not the greatest. I have him, though, going cornerback, getting Trayvon Diggs a really good running partner because Kelvin Joseph, frankly, is not a great second option at wide receiver. I have him going with the Oregon Duck, Tyquan McLeod, 6'1", 203, out of Oregon, as we already said. Let me get his 40 times for you, and then we can wrap this puppy up. Way too long I went, but I appreciate anyone who's still listening. Yeah, 4.5 at the combine, so not the best, but did come back with a 4.4 at the pro day. Again, I tend to lean more on the combine numbers and the pro day numbers. Here's the good thing about Tyquan McLeod. Is he going to run a guy down in a straight line? No, but he is going to be able to stay with those guys with that quick, shifty change of direction. 4.18 20-yard shuttles, 6.8 2-3 cone drill. Ran even faster at the pro day. He is it looks like a man-to-man guy. Trayvon Diggs needs a running partner. Go get him a running partner. Go after that third Super Bowl back-to-back. I can promise you the Seahawks are going to do everything in their power not to let it happen. Gentlemen, I appreciate you listening. I cannot wait to hear people tell me how, I would never take that guy. I know. It's just an exercise I have to do. I can't say, oh, man, this guy in the third, fourth round, I got him 100% scouted. He's actually a top 5 talent. Pick him. That would ruin some of the special fun of the draft, right? So I can't do that even if I know people are going to go sooner than this. I have to do it as all these guys are projected at least first, second round or better, and I go from there. I had 50 candidates. These are the candidates I had. I look forward to you guys telling me how terrible and stupid my mock is. I will post the link in the Around the League chat here shortly. We out.